the sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops. And it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
You know, times are really changing. It used to be that the majority of fishing questions I was asked took place on the lake, at store promotions, and at seminars. Then that changed again to emails and the internet. You know, it's really hard to believe that there's so many questions, and many of them are doggone good ones. Well, we here at Bill Dance Outdoors try our dead level best to answer as many of them as possible, either by mail or on the website. Now, quite a few times throughout the year, we share some of the better ones with our viewers, and that's our plan for today as we fish along. Hopefully, you'll find them interesting and helpful. Now, our first question concerns life. What's the lifespan of a freshwater fish? Well, you know, that question kind of reminds me what one of my sons asked me when he was a little bitty fella. He asked, how old am I going to become? Well, naturally, this is a question that's considered by all of us. Yet, we normally respond by saying, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But this question is more interesting to the angler. What's the lifespan of a freshwater fish? Those species living in the cooler northern waters of the country live longer than their brothers and sisters in the warmer southern and central sections. For instance, a largemouth bass in Minnesota may live to be 13 to 15 years old. In Indiana, 500 to 600 miles south, that same fish would seldom live longer than 10 to 11 years. Fish maintained under optimum conditions with good water quality and balanced diets live much longer. Whoa, come on back. I'm just working the edge of these pads right through here. These fish will land right just about on the edge to about 5, 6, 7, 8 feet out in front. But the advantage to like this reel here, after I make a cast and work that outer edge and want to come in real quick, they call this reel a speed freak. It takes in 33 inches per revolution. So that's a lot of line. But after I work just a short distance off of that pad edge, I just reel it in, and that's an advantage to a high-speed spinning reel, or like you fishing a current. You throw up to the edge, you work just a short distance, and then just speed it back, make another cast. Here's a good question about bait casting reels. If I can afford to buy only one quality bait casting reel, what gear ratio do you recommend? Well, I prefer high-speed reels, like this Quantum 8.1 to 1, because slowing a lure presentation with a high-speed reel is much easier than speeding up the retrieve with a low gear ratio reel. I also find I have better line and lure control. I really see no negatives in using high-speed reels, but I see some real negatives to not using them. For instance, when fishing from deep to shallow, bass have a tendency to swim out toward deeper water once they strike, traveling straight to you. A high-speed reel allows you to catch up with the fish, eliminate slack, and makes a quick, strong hook set. I also prefer high speed when I'm fishing in a current or making short, quick casts at shallow water targets. However, I do prefer using a lower gear ratio when I need power, like when I'm flipping in heavy cover, for instance.
Bill Dance Outdoors, sponsored by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. And by Mercury Marine, go boldly. Today's Conditions Log is brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. Come experience the kind of beauty that can only be made in Tennessee. Go online today for your free Tennessee vacation guide.
Whoa. Pretty good one. Get up. Get back out of those pads. Pull that thing. Taking that rod tip. That little wire hook, sharp as a tack. A nice, strong little fish. See ya. Okay, here's a cold water question. Any tips on fishing during the winter when water temps range from the high 30s to low 40s? Okay, that's a good question. You know, fishing during the winter when water temperatures are cold, let's say down in the low 40s, you know, 43, 42, on down to 40 degrees. What that does is it requires forcing yourself to be patient and fish slow, making several casts to the same area. You got to realize that you're probably only going to get very few strikes all day. Once you accept that, you need to concentrate extra hard to be in a position to take full advantage of those few bites when they do come. One right there at the boat. Whoa, man. Pop. Healthy looking little rascal. I got this thing rigged with a 1/8 ounce slip sinker, 8-pound test line, a little 7-foot medium action smoke quantum rod, and a 25 series smoke reel. Here's a question, and a doggone good one, about spinnerbaits. What a spinnerbait is supposed to look like to a bass is anybody's guess. It looks like nothing a bass would normally eat, meaning it looks nothing like natural forage. What do you think? Well, you know, I disagree with that. We all know a jig is a high percentage lure that resembles many different forms of forage. Bounce, let's say a brown jig on the bottom, and it's supposed to represent, and it kind of looks like a crawfish. Swim a white jig, and it looks like a shad or a minnow. Now, if you take the so-called looking jig and place a spinner above it, it still looks like a shad, but now it flashes and vibrates, and it allows you to fish it at different depth levels depending upon your retrieve. Yep, I surely do believe it looks like something in the food chain. When I get into about 3 feet of water, 2 to 3 feet of water in the grass, they're right on the bottom, right on the top of that grass. When I get into 2 or 3 feet of water in the pads, they're right on the bottom. But when I get out in the deeper pads in 5 to 6 feet of water, they're suspended. So I'm kind of swimming the worm through the pad stems.
Today's show is brought to you by Zebco, teaching America to fish since 1949. Pure Marine Odor Eliminator eliminates foul fish odors from gear, compartments, and empty live wells. And Tracker Boats, fish the finest.
Today's equipment log is brought to you by Ego Fishing and their all-new S2 slider landing nets with the most advanced handle extension technology. Take the battle to the water with Ego. Today's show is sponsored by Monster Marine Lithium. Lighter, stronger, longer. Bill Dance exclusive rods by Quantum. We have an action for you. And by Garmin. Fight your fish, not your fish finder.
Oh, me. There he goes. Here he comes. Ooh, nice jump. Nice fish right there too. And strong too, my boy. Pop that hook out right there. That pretty much. Today we're using a fantastic line that I am really sold on. It's Cast King's tripolymer monofilament, which incorporates 3 nylon lines into one mono that has extremely low light refraction, similar to fluorocarbon. It's super smooth and highly abrasion resistant. Plus, it has a tremendous low stretch factor. And I have been a line watcher as long as I can remember. And I think that is so important that I'm watching my line carefully. A lot of these hits, the fish just pick it up and they swim out with it, or they try to swim back into the cover with it. And I don't want them to get back in that cover. So I'm watching that line real closely. Had a 14-year-old young angler ask me this question about farm ponds. Which lure would you choose to use from the bank on an open water pond? Distance and coverage are the 2 keys to consider when deciding which lure to try in a pond. Now, if the pond is clear to slightly stained, a lipless crankbait is an excellent choice, since it can be worked at various depths. Now, when bass are inactive, a plastic jerkbait is a good bet. When the pond is murky to muddy, my number 1 pick would be a 3/8 ounce single-bladed black spinnerbait. And that blade on that spinnerbait would be probably a silver Colorado blade. Now, one thing you want to remember, repeated casts to the same area with a slow roll presentation is the best approach. Whoa, look at him pull that drag. I can't get him around. Back over on this side now. A strong fish. Now he's going to take me back around this way. Whew. There we go. A pretty one, isn't it? Yes, you are. See ya. Woo! The hook we're using is an offset shank round bend. That's a gamakatsu, and we're using a 2/0. The diameter of this finesse worm, the diameter is not very big. But I tell you what, they really like this worm. I've caught a lot of fish on it. Comes in a multitude of colors. Comes through the water kind of like, on the fall, it kind of falls like a pencil. but it comes through that cover extremely well. It comes through grass, through these pad stems, falls through cover extremely well.
The Bill Dance Question and Answer of the Week, brought to you by Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. Whether you're fishing for panfish, bass, catfish, or light saltwater, we have the action for you. Available at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
Ever wondered what makes one red worm better than another? Is it something they say? Nah. Is it their expression? Absolutely not. What is it? It's where they're born and raised. The nurseries at Wormville. Tell you what, let's take a look. Big, fat, healthy, 3-inch Wormville worms.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Cast King Tri-Polymer and Hammer Braid Fishing Lines, and by Garmin Force Trolling Motors. Fish with force. Closed captioning provided by PowerPole.
The original shallow water anchor. Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin and their GPS map series, chart plotter sonar combos with their advanced sonar technology, like Panoptic's Live Scope all-seeing sonar. You'll spend less time finding your fish.
Conservation is a key factor in our sport's longevity, and my good friends at Ego have the perfect accessory to keep fishing alive. It's Ego's Cryptek Conservation Tournament weigh-in bag. The bag is designed to provide a safe and friendly way for both tournament and recreational anglers to transport their fish to the weigh-ins. You can also add a separate aerator into the built-in side pocket. It's the first and last weigh-in bag you'll ever need.
Come be part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. Follow us.
Whoa, he's coming to the boat. Whoa. Boy, he got it quick. Where's that crazy thing going, man? Whoa. And that right there, buddy. That right there's got a lot of spice in his chili. Buddy. Whoa. That hook's out. Nice. Nice color fish. Yes, you are. See you. I got a question not long ago from a young angler who asked, can bass be caught in a 200-acre shallow lake that's loaded with cover, like stumps, logs, and bushes that stays muddy most of the year? You bet they will, but you got to use lures that vibrate and weedless enough to fish in, around, and over the cover slowly. Now, spinnerbaits, shallow running crankbaits are a good bet. Anytime you're fishing murky to muddy water, always try to fish objects, simply because bass become very object-oriented and zero in on very shallow cover. You need to fish as tight as possible to objects, and making several casts to them is also smart. Work your lure as close to the surface and as slow as possible. Nice one. Woo! Look at here. That's a powerful little fish right there. It ain't too little either. Whoa, look at that and go. Coming back around. Gonna make me turn around. They call this reel a speed freak. It takes in 33 inches per revolution. So that's a lot of line. But after I work just a short distance off of that pad edge, I just reel it in, and that's an advantage to a high-speed reel, spinning reel, or like you're fishing a current. You throw up to the edge, you work just a short distance, and then just speed it back, make another cast. Or when you're fishing targets, just throwing at a target, boom, 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 then reel in, throw at another target. It's the advantage of having a reel like this. It takes in 33 inches per revolution. Come here. Slide up here. Say that for me. Ow! Isn't that a nice one? Has you hooked good too, doesn't it? Isn't that pretty? Healthy? You are. Okay. Ta-ta. Going back. Whoa. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. That little old skinny worm. It's a good bait. As my buddy over at Bass Pro calls them banikis. Well, like I said in the beginning of our show, I hope you found some of these questions interesting and helpful. Anytime you have one, fire it to me, and I'll try to provide the answer. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.